It's always great. I mean, this gentleman, for us, a basketball treasure chest right here in our midst. And we feel like we became fair weather, bandwagon jumping friends because we wait until he beats Duke and once again finds a way to just befuddle Coach K at Cameron Indoor with these crazy nutbags just yelling and screaming and trying to intimidate the hell out of his team. Goes in there and beats Duke. And that's when we say, hey, you know what? We ought to have Jim Larinaga on the show. But, Jim, I assure you, you're always in our hearts. How are you, Jim?
I'm good. I always like talking to the guys who jump on the bandwagon midway through the trip. So.
Jim Larinaga is coming on the show on Thursday. Let me watch the game against FSU because that was a hell of a ball game. But, a real tough way to end the 9-game winning streak.
We go to FSU. We take a 1-point lead with 7 seconds to go. And they go in for a driving layup, and unfortunately there's a foul called, and they make 2 free throws to beat us at the end.
Do you get that call or make that call in the park if you're, calling fouls on yourself? Do you get that call at the end of the game? What do you think?
I grew up playing in the park in a place called Parkchester in the Bronx. Oh. And if any of my competitors had called that a foul at the end of a 1-point game, there would have definitely been fisticuffs.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on ION Channel. It is the Defo Show. I am Jeff Deforrest, and one Mike Lubitz is with me as we'll take up till 9 o'clock today on the East Coast, and we'll have Tony Segreto going old school with us in the second hour of the program. We do have to clarify a few things before we get started here, and great to be back with you. Rumors of our passing, greatly exaggerated. Many people, and you can stop sending the hate mail to Jack Namer and Amy and Brad, all the people at ION Channel. They did not pull the plug on the show. And many people thought that maybe they just shut it down. I mean, the bottom line, obviously, when you're swimming in a sea of red ink, as maybe this program is, it's okay. No, we're doing just fine. And it was a quirk, a freak of nature, and a gamble, another gamble that I lost yesterday. I am on the coldest streak of my life. I don't know that I've cashed more than a handful of tickets in my last 10 trips to the track. This while all my friends are making major scores. I mean, literally. Jersey Kyle is dancing in the streets. Evan, don't mention my name, is secretly hitting large jackpots, getting ready for his trip out to Las Vegas to try and win the National Handicapping Championship, which don't sleep on Don't Mention My Name if you're out there for the NHC. A very subtle player. He's probably already studying racing forms in advance of races that aren't going to take place for a week and change. Trying to anticipate fields, not even knowing what the fields are going to be comprised of, getting ready for this contest. It's great. We land in Las Vegas a week from tomorrow, and we land in Las Vegas about 10-something Vegas time. Take off from here 7 in the morning, so you have the 5 and a half, 5 and change, 5 and a hook on the plane, which, in the first few hours, you're hoping to fall asleep and wake up somewhere around Missouri, right? And then the next couple of hours you can navigate with the wild anticipation. It's always fun on a flight out to Las Vegas because everybody's happy. Same thing Atlantic City. You get on one of those junkets like I was taking pretty frequently where they fly you for free up there, and then everybody schleps to the hotel on a bus, and then everybody dissipates and, goes in different directions. And the next thing you know, the next time you see the people, they're all sad-faced and sullen and downtrodden on the flight back. And that's kind of how a Vegas trip is. I mean, you're playing craps in the aisle on the way out there, and everybody's partying. Yeah, champagne for everybody. Yeah, go ahead, put it on my credit card. Lady, do you ever refer to a flight attendant as lady? No, nobody.
No. I don't want them to spit in my drink. No.
Hey, lady. Couple of more bottles of that Sutter Home ought to take us right into McCarran Airport with a pretty nice cheap wine buzz on, which is not the way to arrive in Las Vegas with a cheap white wine high. It can be very irritating by the time you get around to noon and start sucking down a dozen White Castle hamburgers right there on the strip. That was a tribute to our friend Sheldon Glass, who sent it in to the tune. Wow, he had Arizona like 50 grand on Arizona the other night. Can you imagine how disgusting it was watching that game?
It's over
I would
by
have
the
rather
first-
been at your bar mitzvah, Lubie, than watching Arizona go up. I mean, when he threw that little hand grenade pass, Kyler Murray,
in the
as he
end
was
zone.
about to get sacked in the end zone, just give up the deuce or whatever. But if you're going to throw the ball away, don't lob it up in the air underhanded without looking in anywhere but the direction of the defense at that point. There were like 6 guys waiting to pick that thing off and hop 1 yard into the end zone. And that essentially was the game. I mean, there are different turning points in ball games, and it's the mark of a good quarterback, and that's why we don't know where we stand here in Miami with Tua Tagovailoa, and neither does any incoming possible head coach. Because that could be a factor, right? If you're being interviewed by Stephen Ross and whoever the brass are, who comprises the brass? I guess the brass. Chris Greer. I mean, how could you be on the other end of a table being interviewed by Chris Greer to possibly get the head coaching job when you know that Chris Greer is just there as the old Jerry Jones joke used to be about his head coaches? I'm your puppet.
100%.
Because he's clearly, I mean, everybody's in agreement. Everybody that you talk to. I talked to a few former Dolphin players, and they all say the same thing. People that are NFL insiders. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that they're inaccurate in this, but they said this guy knows how to take the Vaseline out and take care of Stephen Ross, if you know what I mean.
Wow, they were that graphic. Jesus.
In a figurative sense, Lubie.
I
mean,
know.
He
but
wasn't
just saying-
literally giving Stephen Ross a hand job to keep
I'm
the
just saying the fact that they
position.
say it shows just how much Greer's in the pocket.
Everybody starts giving the masturbation gesture, and you're like, all right, you don't need to get any more detail than that.
Like, Jesus.
There you go. Internet show implies that Chris Greer is having sex
Yeah,
with
exactly.
team owner. It's one way to make headlines. We can start to make some real capital if we go in that direction. But anyway, I mean, when you're the possible incoming head coach, I mean, can you really sit there across the table from Chris Greer and whoever? I mean, I would imagine Ross is involved in this interview process. There has to be some mystery man also, like in the movie Johnny Depp made called Blow. Who is this mystery man, right?
Yep. Oh, some
And
random.
everybody wants to know who the mystery man is. Who's the guy that's getting you this cocaine without having to, go ahead and stroke everybody in the Medellin cartel, right? Medellin cartel. So who is? I don't know who's involved in the interview, but I mean, how do you convince? Oh yeah, I can win with Tua, no problem there. This guy can dink it and dunk it down the field all day long. No, of course not. You're probably going to look elsewhere, maybe for a different job. Right now, I just read some speculative pieces about the Dolphins head coaching search and who might wind up in the position. And you know who they landed on? Mike Lubitz, at least in this particular article I was reading. The man's conclusion was, and you'll like this, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, yeah? He's not even mentioned.
Not even mentioned, by anybody. I mean, you talk about a long shot, right? So if that comes true, it's a whole different ballgame. All right, we have to get to the bottom of what happened yesterday because we disappeared from the airwaves for one day, and probably you tuned in and said, hey, wait a minute. He already said all of those exact same things yesterday.
We just copied it. We were that good.
And I have to say, Jack's been warning me, man, you need to put together some kind of a safety net show just in case something freaky happens. Yeah. Which could have easily happened again today. We almost went 2 for 2 in this thing because as of like 5 this morning, my internet was shut down, and
Jesus.
there was nothing I could do about it because it was an outage on the part of the company, like a mass outage of Wi-Fi service. So, I'm sitting there with literally proverbial thumb in my rear end, thinking, okay, this is going to be 2 days in a row. It's going to be a hard one to explain. Sure hope you liked our opinion about the Bengals game on Monday's show. Because you're about to hear it again. But anyway, so I gambled on this, and Lubie, you wanted to do the diligent thing, and I just said, you know what? One thing I hate rehearsals. I really do. I don't like doing, takes on things, and maybe let's just lay down 30 minutes here, and we'll see if we get some kind of rhythm going. And then if it's not actually on, it really doesn't bring out, I would say, the best in me. Let's put it that way. And I was always terrible at rehearsals. Whenever there was a rehearsal for a show, I would butcher everything on it until we got to the point where the thing was on the air. And then you're going on the air thinking, man, I really fucked up that rehearsal. I hope it goes a little more smoothly. And especially with live TV, you never know. There's something's going to go wrong, and you as the host have to kind of sit there and look like you're unfazed by it all, and hopefully. And I try to do this. I mean, you don't want to make a lot of references to the technical difficulties you're experiencing because your job is sort of to sit there and be the epitome of calm and act like nothing crazy is going on. It doesn't matter if the set's on fire, right? You're supposed to sit there and just say, yeah, well, you know what? I tell you what, that was some ball game last night. Lubie, did you happen to see that play in the third quarter?
Yeah, what a game.
You're already feeling heat. You know, you're schwitzing. It's crazy. So we don't like to reference technical difficulties. And, and on top of that, I'm not really good at like just pretending to do a show. So and I consider it, especially if it's not going to air anyway. I mean, there was really little interest that I had in recording, say, an hour's worth of a podcast or a stream, and then airing it as if it was live the next day under the, I thought, almost impossible circumstances that you, my friend, would end up on jury duty, which I don't want to give away any trade secrets because I'm no longer eligible for jury duty. I opted out. I literally had the option there. I saw it on the last card that I got from the Broward County Voting Commission or whatever that is. And they actually had a thing on there when you were registering to vote that if you're 70 years old, I'm not sure what the age cutoff is, but I was past it. And you can opt out of ever being called for jury duty again.
Wow.
And it's not like I don't have some civic sense and don't believe that I should, go ahead and integrate myself into society and that everybody deserves a fair trial. And I would think I'd be a very fair juror. But if I'm you, I'm coming in with a shirt with a swastika on it if I get called in for a jury duty. And maybe one of those crazy Viking, helmets that those guys were wearing the January 6th insurrection there with a Trump hat on. And I'm going to make sure that they don't pick me. Because I don't want to be on a trial for like 2 weeks while I'm supposed to be. We have too much to do, Lubie.
Oh, I know.
We're at a very key point here. I mean, we're literally at the turning point of what could either be a move into a future brilliance or, just ride out the storm here as a couple of schmeckles just talking to the wind. We don't want that to happen. So we need you on the job every day. One thing that I've always told you, just show up every day. Doesn't matter what kind of condition your condition is in. So anyway, Lubie suggests, hey, why don't we record some just in case I get called? Because what happened? First of all, never respond to jury duty calls. How do they know? And my first wife, who worked for attorneys and knew the court system very well, actually told me this. She said, you don't ever have to go to jury duty because how do they know if you got the card?
And then they can't hold it against you if you like moved and didn't get it. Like they can't.
How do they know that you even acknowledge that you got it, right? Maybe stuck in between a bunch of junk mail, right? You're looking, do I need avocados at Publix? No. And it happened to be stuck inside that flyer that they sent out there, which is like 18 pages of newsprint that they stick in your mailbox. Or maybe, in my case, it was stuck between the 16 casino come-ons that I get every day in the mail. It's Slots-a-mania. Out here at the Circus, why don't you come take advantage of some free rooms and a free shrimp cocktail when you get to the scene? Of course, I'm going to go out there to lose 2,000 just to get that free shrimp cocktail. This better be some jumbo shrimp, man. I'm talking prawns. They never are. That world famous shrimp cocktail at the Circus. I mean, it was almost an oxymoron in reverse, right? Because, you can't have jumbo shrimp. By the very nature of the word shrimp, it implies that they're small, right? I mean, some guy calls you a shrimp. I don't know if that was ever a thing that you had to deal with in school, Lubie.
Derogatory.
You weren't the tallest kid in the class.
They're always short, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the concept of jumbo shrimp, obviously, it's an antithesis type of situation where they can't possibly be the same. Oxymoron, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, the whole thing that you might have gotten a card or might not have gotten, how would they know unless they send it registered mail and you sign for it? Which makes no sense. If they're going to have something as important as going on and fulfilling your civic duty and going on jury duty, you would think they would send you a registered letter. This way they know that you got the card, and now you can't shuck your duty or whatever, your civic responsibility to go and at least make yourself available for jury duty before you start screaming racial epithets at the defendant. That would be a move also. All right. So anyway, let me, allow you the platform here, Lubie, because it's kind of interesting what happened. At 5 o'clock, you were supposed to call in. Nobody ever gets called in on that 5 o'clock call. They tell you, just go ahead, make the call because you don't have to worry about it. They'll never say, hey, listen, we want to see you here tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Broward County Courthouse in this case. And so I gambled on the show, which I don't like to do. I don't like to take chances with this thing.
I hate doing it.
And said, I don't want to record like an hour's worth of stuff that's never going to air. We've been doing a lot of different things. I'm involved in other projects. And, I just didn't feel like sitting here for an hour and barking something out that was never going to hit the airways and was not going to be a serviceable backup program for any future endeavors because how general can you make it, right?
Yeah, we don't. No.
What are we going to do? Talk about the 62 Mets? They were a lousy team. Everybody knows that by now. So anyway, so you make the call, and then I'll let you take it from there. Mike Lubie, Lubitz, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I told you, because the funny thing is I've had this call-in thing before, and Shirley has too, and they give like a range of numbers that are going, but then they give a range of numbers that aren't, and you're always in that range. Like, that's the point of the call-in jury is you're like the extra people. So I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I'll probably be fine. Whatever. And I called 5 o'clock Monday, and they just said, all jurors. And I'm like, that's weird. I've never heard that one before. I called 5 times, and they kept saying all jurors. I put on speaker. I'm like, Shirley, am I hearing this right? She's like, yeah, I think you're fucked. I was like, oh, shit.
She used those exact words. I think you're fucked.
Just like that. Because you knew
how many times I've heard that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Deforrest, you're fucked.
So that's why I was like, because this isn't like I hate my job, because people were there and they're like, yeah, I'll be here for weeks. Some guy was like, the prosecutor asked us, how much do you want to be here? 1 to 10. 1 you don't want to be here, 10 you do. And like 2 people were like 10. I'm like, who wants to be here? So I didn't want to be there.
I'm interested in trials, but I don't necessarily want to be pulled away from what I'm doing.
Like if I was a retiree and had nothing to do with my life, but like we just started this thing. I don't have like my backup is Ricardo, but it's not like we work for some conglomerate. Like,
he's off in Mexico, drifting around with young girls.
Like I got to plan things out. Like this isn't like, we work for iHeart where there's just millions of people that can fill in, and this is our thing, and we're starting it from scratch, and we're happy, and we're proud.
Let's not exaggerate. We had nobody that could fill in there either. They had like 2 guys in a rotation of possible.
There were a lot of people, but it felt like there were more than here. So I did not want to get on a jury, and I'm like, how the fuck do I get out? Like, I don't know how I get out of this. And they tell you a lot. Look,
all you got to do is be yourself. That was what everybody said this to me.
What I did. I was like, I don't want to just be crazy because then it looks disingenuous. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to talk a lot and respond to everything. And then I'll be that jerk that's too opinionated that they don't want. So I guess it worked because I didn't get called.
Now, wait a minute. I mean, weren't you also, though, interviewed for a possible trial that involved like something ridiculous? It sounded like something Judge Judy should be legislating. And, it was a misdemeanor. Some guy pulled like the plants out of another guy's yard or something. And they were going to have a 2-day trial over this.
Okay. So I did get picked from the pool to go sit and be questioned as a possible juror. But the case was it was a misdemeanor. Like this woman was accused of ruining property. And like this, as they're talking about it, the prosecutor's asking us a ton of questions. This one guy is like, yeah, I think it's sort of weird that we're doing this whole thing. Defense attorneys, prosecutor, judge, jury, bailiff, the reporter for a misdemeanor, like a maximum that's $1,000. And then the guy's like, well, don't you feel like everyone deserves thing? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, yes, Mr. Lubitz. I'm like, I think this is stupid. Like, I think it's ludicrous to be doing
this. You thrown off. Yeah, very exactly. Good.
I think it's ludicrous to be doing this for like $300. Like, I'm sorry. I believe in this process, and that's fine. If I had to be a juror, I wouldn't be a jerk about it. But like, this is stupid. This is dumb. And then,
I mean, why not just watch an old episode of Judge Wapner at that point and see what he might have done?
Like it felt like Judge Judy. I'm like, isn't this what Judge Judy? I wanted to say, isn't this what Judge Judy's for?
Take this case to TV. We could have tried the case right here on the show. That would have been interesting.
I was going to say Defo would handle this way better. Like he's dealt with this.
I've had crazy neighbors. No doubt about it. I had a guy cut down all of the trees in my yard one time because one of my ex-wives had started a nasty fight with this guy. And there was nothing you could do about it. The cops came and said, hey, we couldn't prove it was him, even though we know it, So that was it. There was nothing you could do. They said, we do your best to patch things up. That was all there is to it. All right. So anyway, at the end of it all, though, the defense attorney addresses you specifically, does he not?
Yeah. So the defense attorney, the prosecutor did his thing. We go to lunch. We come back. It's like freaking 1:30. I'm like, how is, like, the judge is like, this is going to be 2 days. I'm like, 2 days for a miss. I'm like, what is going on with this? What did this woman do that could really piss off the state this bad that they want to do this bad?
The OJ trial was taking less time.
That's what it felt like. So the defense comes up, and it's this older dude, and he's doing his thing, and he goes back to that one guy that said, this is a stupid trial. And then he looks at me, he's like, you, Mr. Lubitz. I'm like, yes. Like, did you agree? I'm like, look, I think the country is founded on this system, and I love this system, but
oh, Jesus.
Like, I think it's a lot of garbage to be doing all this.
You should have just belted out the national anthem at that point, like you were Kate Smith at a Flyers game or something. Start singing, God bless America.
I was just like, I think we're way too.
That would have got you a free lunch and right into the parking lot to get in your car and start driving home.
They would have kicked me out, yes. So I was like, I think we're way too litigious. I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you. He's like, well, they call you Lubie, don't they? And I'm like, that was random.
He recognized you as Lubie?
Like,
you have to be kidding me. This is at the trial?
Yes, it's a defense attorney in front of the 22 prospective jurors, the prosecutor, the accused. I think the accused mom's there, the bailiff, and the judge
People
had already
sobbing.
Said,
yeah.
Do you know anyone here? Like, she had made this weird thing that the jurors weren't allowed to know anyone. So when he says this, I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that. I'm like, am I going to get thrown? I'm like, I mean, on the radio, they call me Lubie. He's like, I know who you are. I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
So I'm like,
how was he even considering using you for the jury duty service at that point?
I didn't make it.
Well, here you are today. That's good. All right, many things happening on the show. So Lubie gets out of jury duty. That's the reason why we weren't here yesterday. I gambled and lost about making some kind of a safety net show. Jack, you were right. We should have had one, but unfortunately, that's not the way it went. And in a million years, I never thought that you would be called in for jury duty. And I don't know. It's probably not a good thing for me to recommend that you shut the system by just ignoring the card. And I suppose there could be consequences. So I want to qualify my comments from earlier this morning and say, I never said that. But it is true. It's a weird thing that they don't send a call for jury duty by certified mail. I don't know. Is that saving the taxpayer a ton of money? Why don't they just approve sports gambling here?
Yeah,
because if you see what's going on in New York, I mean, they have a new, just absolutely wild and exotically infused financial budget for the state now. They're fixing everything. And what is it based on? Two things, Libby, in this case. The legalized sale of marijuana, which is now being taxed in New York, I guess, to some extreme, to the point where they're going to generate like $12 billion off of it. And legalized gambling. These are the two things that were pointed out. So give the people what they want. And then take that money that the people are having their own fun with, well-deserved, certainly entitled to do it without having to sneak around to some bookmaker or some sleazebag drug dealer and get their weed, go to bed, get a good night's sleep, gamble away on some of the games, make them more interesting. I mean, how uninteresting was that Tampa Bay-Philadelphia game over the weekend until it got to be 31-15 and you were getting 8 in a hook with Philadelphia and there was still 4 minutes to play and Tampa Bay, I don't know why. I mean, this was a big debate on a lot of sports talk venues yesterday and platforms. Why is Brady still in the game in the fourth quarter of a 31-0 bludgeoning? Mm-hmm. And it's largely because Brady never wants to come out of the game, right? And maybe there were some contractual incentives that Gronk needed to meet. So he stayed in there, because he would get extra money if he caught a touchdown pass in the playoffs, which also, just an aside, I mean, have you ever seen an easier touchdown scored? How on earth is it that the Philadelphia Eagles, is their defensive coordinator up for any kind of possible head coaching job?
I don't think so.
Why would you let Gronk come off the line of scrimmage without even feigning that he was blocking anybody, walk into the center of the end zone and catch a pass with nobody within the same area code? How do you always wonder, like if Cooper Kupp is wide open for the Rams, the guy's making miracle catches in between three guys. All right, so at least they realize we have to try to stop this guy. It's a Belichickian principle that you want to take away the most meaningful and important weapon of the other team and then see how they do. Common philosophy used in basketball, okay? We're going to triple team Kareem, and you know what? If Magic beats us, guess what? Magic is going to beat us. I mean, so that's why these configurations of the big threes are always so complicated to defend because what are you going to do, right? unless you're the ill-fated Brooklyn Nets who can't seem to ever get these three guys on the court together.
Yeah.
The most tantalizing trio of guys that has been connected together in a long, long time, right?
Yep.
Since, maybe, Reed, Clyde Frazier, and Bill Bradley DeBuscher. I mean, you have some great teams where if you put too much emphasis on one guy, any one of the other four guys, the Golden State was made this way, right? Any one of the other four guys could kill you.
Yes.
On their own. I mean, they would be more than enough to lead any team of schminks into the final round of the NBA championship. But how do you possibly allow Gronk to walk into the middle of the end zone, Lubie, and no one was covering the guy? Gronkowski, the favorite target, the most connected receiver to quarterback in terms of touchdown passes. What? It's not NFL history, but tight end to quarterback combination.
Oh, that's got to be number one. Yeah, tight end.
Has to be, right? I mean, without question, they spent so much time together. In fact, they're even spending Brady's years in Tampa together.
I mean, look, you don't have Godwin, and outs after Evans, it's a major drop-off. Like, who else are you covering?
Yeah, if Fournette's out of the ball game, they're not going to give it to him.
There's no Godwin. Evans just came back from injury.
Watch that play. I mean, you don't need to have a telestrator to diagram up the stupidity there. All you have to do is put a dunce cap on whoever designed the defensive call. And you could say all day, well, that was a blown defense. Yes, of course it was.
Thank you.
You allowed Rob Gronkowski to walk into the center of the end zone on a play that ultimately, I mean, if it didn't already seal their doom, or they hadn't sealed it already, certainly that was among the plays that finally drove that final spike into the coffin, and they said, may he rest in peace. But it did get interesting to the degenerate at 31-15.
Yep.
What seemed like an insignificant play, and it was just an absolutely crazy two-point conversion play that eventually what was a pass caught in ridiculous traffic, a great catch by Devontae Smith, who many people have forgotten about because of the great year that Jamar Chase is having. But Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, turned out to be a very formidable receiver this year. He had an excellent year, and yet did a disappearing act. Absolute, I mean, search warrants were issued for this guy. All-point bulletins were out there for Devontae Smith through the entire game. And I have to say, the color analyst on that game might have been, was it Romo on that game? Philadelphia versus Tampa Bay? Might have been.
Oh, because didn't Nance and Romo
it was Nance and Romo were doing
the Cowboy game, didn't they?
The Cowboy game. Okay, so it wasn't Romo.
Yeah.
But whoever, I might have been Aikman, Troy Aikman.
I was going to say I think one of the two of them might have been on that game.
Yeah.
It's either Aikman or
But
Romo.
he was correctly pointing out all day, hey, where's Devontae Smith?
Yeah.
And they're giving the guy like a 15-yard cushion the entire ball game. All he had to do was run a couple of square ins and square outs, whatever. And he could have caught any number of 10-yard passes all day long, with Jalen Hurts not exactly lightening up as a quarterback. In fact, would you do this? I mean, is it fair to say that I would put Tua ahead of Jalen Hurts if I was picking sides and picking a quarterback? What do you think? Tua over Jalen Hurts, who went to the postseason, received a lot of acclaim, is an excellent running quarterback. Guy competes his eyeballs out. But much like in the championship game when Nick Saban said, get the Hawaiian kid in there.
Yeah.
I think Tua's probably got more upside potential as a quarterback than Jalen Hurts, who a lot of people are crediting with having a huge amount of success. See, it's trying to make it real compared to what?
Yes.
The old Les McCann song.
Yes.
Compared to what Jalen Hurts' expectations were as a quarterback, yeah, the kid's done great.
Well, that's the problem with Tua. Like, look at Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has been anointed as great, right? But is he great? Whenever he has these games that are big games, he doesn't play well. Like, that wasn't – the Cardinals have everything. They have good
he was a disaster in this ball.
He was bad in that game.
Horrible, yeah.
But no one – who was talking about Kyler Murray? Tua has a decent game, and they actually win, and he's the worst ever. Kyler Murray has a horrible game. His whole team plays fine but him, and no one's talking about him. It's like a weird thing with narratives and stories. Jalen Hurts is average to bad, but because he was supposed to be average to bad, if he's decent, oh, shit, look at him.
Before that, really a stupid play by Kyler Murray that, I mean, they weren't going anywhere anyway. They weren't beating the Rams that night. That's just the way the game was going. Sometimes you could look at things and just say, you know what, this isn't going our way. And it wasn't. But before he threw that horrible pass, there was a very debatable call about whether or not a ball was caught. as Kyler Murray actually, and they're down 14-0. They're in the shadow of their own goal line. And this is where you get the litmus test of a quarterback, whether it's a playoff situation or not, even in the regular season. All right, you've been playing horribly, and you've done nothing. The other team is on fire offensively. They're scoring on every possession. You have to, at least orchestrate a drive that changes the momentum of the game a little bit, changes the flow of the game. You can't go 3 and out in that spot and then be punting once again from the guy with his toes on the back line of the end zone there, and you're just hoping not to get the kick blocked.
The cliche, change the field of position, at least something like that.
Gather a little momentum. You have to. I mean, you have to, as the cliche goes, keep the defense off the field for a little while, let them catch their breath and get reorganized and, generate something that gives you a rise for hope or reason to believe that you're back in this ballgame, especially a nice 7-point drive at that point, what was essential. So he gets him out of a hole. They have like, I don't know, I guess it was 3rd and 20 or something like that. Or 2nd and 20. Gets him out of a hole and throws like a 25-yard pass that looked to me to be caught and then subsequently fumbled out of bounds. And when you see the very tenuous nature of some of these calls by the referees where they're considering a pass a completion, where the ball hits the ground, which was always rule number 1. Oh, yeah, well, he controlled it all the way. Anywhere that you played, you heard the Larinaga clip. If that happens in the schoolyard and the ball hits the ground, I don't care if you have your 2 hands on the sides of it. That's no catch. No. Dropped it. But this guy catches the ball in his hands, has both feet on the ground, starts to move forward. It gets whacked out in there, and it rolls out of bounds. And after review, they called it no catch. Oh, and that's what put Murray in this predicament where he was having to pass the ball out of his own end zone while standing there like he was running a Statue of Liberty play. What did he think? He had the hogs in front of him? He's standing there posing for pictures. Did you get it? Okay, Smitty. All right, I'll throw the ball now. It was like he was posing for a photographer to take him, for a cover photo for Sports Illustrated or something, which they could have stamped him right on there because it was a jinx. Yeah, that's another one of those Lamar Jackson situations, is it not? And all the people that came on the show, Lubie, and told us how great the Cardinals were, how wrong were they? Kingsbury also looked like he was absolutely flummoxed the entire game.
That's my thing. He's another one that was a horrendous hire. Everyone thought it was a horrendous hire. And because they are better, he gets all this credit, but they have a load of talent. It's like the Texans with Bill O'Brien. They're underachieving that team. That team is loaded.
They didn't do well at the end of the season. I mean, if you're going to use the barometer of how do you perform in December and maybe the playoffs, if you're lucky enough to get there, they kind of edged their way back into the playoffs. But they win like one of their last 5, and that might have made it one of their last 6, something along those lines. So, and that was right after all of the experts came on this show and probably many others all around the country and said, oh, yeah, the Cardinals are for real. We doubted them, Lubie.
Well, we were right.
We were right about that one, yeah. It didn't look all that hot to me all season long. All right, we're coming back with more. Don't forget about our people at Hialeah Park. How could you forget them, Lubie?
Never.
I saw last night, I don't know how I ended up on this, our man, Luis King Kong Ortiz, of course, a Hialeah favorite and a favorite of the fans there. And he won't be on the card that's coming up on January 28th, obviously, because he just fought at like the Hard Rock. And somehow won, even though he was like planted on the canvas a couple of times. And I hate to say it because we really like the guy, but appeared to be at the end of what has been an arduous and long road. He had the 2 knockout losses when he was winning against Deontay Wilder. Looked sensational in both of those fights until such time as they hit him right on the chin there. I don't know if it's glass jaw or what, but he got tapped a couple of times and ended up on the floor. And you were thinking, oh, please, King Kong, retire. But he was very excitable when he was at the crowd. I mean, a big boxing fan. He'd probably be in circulation there that night. I can't guarantee it. I know Wilder was out there the last time we were there, Deontay Wilder, and he was saying, I want you, Ortiz. I want you.
It was like a whole thing.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it's the kind of theater that you get, just great stuff. It can only happen in boxing, and it only happens at a magical place like Hialeah Park. So be alive for the crowd, or part of the crowd out there. The crowd's going to be very lively. I mean, if you want to be in a great atmosphere for boxing, This is, I mean, I used to love it every Thursday night at the Olympic Auditorium in LA because the crowd, I mean, half of them were Mexican Americans and the other half were Mexican, and they would always match a Mexican American and a Mexican fighter. And the place was just raucous, and it's going to be rocking, man, but with wild support for the many Cuban sensations that are going to be featured as pros on this card. And a lot of them are from the and training in the Miami area, as you might imagine. So this is just going to be like a great, great night of boxing, January 28th at Hialeah Park, right there on the racetrack apron. They have the ring there, and then the seats kind of gradually go back in the stands. It's just a perfect setting, great environment. You're going to love it. If you're into having some excitement, maybe you haven't been to a boxing match live and you want to try something new, do that, and then then you can party all night long in the casino as well. So they make it a good time. They really know how to stage an event there. I have to say that, and I mean this in all sincerity. I mean, anytime I've gone to Hialeah Park for any kind of occasion, the Larry Little dinners or any of the things that I've attended there over the many years, a lot of different flamingo ball, always first class. And even just hanging out there on a regular Saturday was always a heck of a lot of fun after the trivia challenge. So, make your plans. It's January 28th. Get tickets online, HialeahPark.com. You'll also see the complete story there. The casino is cranking. A lot of big jackpots being won. 25 dimes, the last one I saw. But it's happening very, very frequently. You wonder if Steve Calabro, they talk about, hey, might be on the hot seat. Because every now and then the Brunettis have to look at the bottom line and say, hey, Steve, you're giving money away here. Hello? Can we get a little piece? Right? Nope. They just want the people to have a good time there, and that's what it's all about. Champion simulcasting room is great. All the food is dynamite there. Just absolutely fantastic. Not at ballpark prices. Great place to go. Great entertainment spot. And don't forget about the boxing match coming up January 28th. It's going to be a great, great card. Tickets online at HialeahPark.com for all the exciting action and information you need about beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, Tony Segreto is going to join us in the second hour of the program. We'll go old school with Tony. A lot of things to discuss. We have the playoff games on tap for the weekend, and the lines are fairly tight. If I'm getting the accurate lines here. I did not get these from Francesco, but they might be a day old. Cincy getting 3 and a hook from Tennessee. What do you think about that real quickly?
I have that, and if Henry really is back and he's himself, I'd lean Tennessee. I don't trust Tannehill, but the Titans usually can beat these kind of teams.
Cincinnati didn't overwhelm me. They're very capable of having a big game offensively. That's quite possible. Tennessee looked very impressive in its last ball game when they needed to win. And, I'm actually thinking about that Dolphin game, second to last week of the season. They look great. I didn't see them the last week of the season. But when they needed to win one there, they came through like champs, and the Dolphins folded up like a cheap tent, only to subsequently come back the following week and knock off the New England Patriots, which, wow, I mean, the Patriots smoked by the team that looks like the strongest team in the postseason right now. Would you agree? The Buffalo Bills look like the best team in the postseason.
Yeah.
Or is that just an illusion because they played a Patriots team that was falling apart at the seams at the end of the year?
I mean, that's what I would lean to. Like, I think the Patriots are overrated, but the Bills were dominant. They were the most dominant team in the first round.
Are they not the livest dog on the road against Kansas City unless they play like dogs that day? They're getting 2 points. They're only getting 2 now from the Kansas City Chiefs on the road against KC. What do you think? Buffalo Bills. You're not a believer in the Bills. You hate the Bills. Your Bills bias goes all the way back to Thurman Thomas, to Andre Reed, to James Lofton,
and the
great Jim Kelly.
Josh Allen in these big moments goes back to being Josh Allen. So that's my thing. And everyone's written off the Chiefs. And I'm like, look, I get the defense isn't great at the end of games, but it's a lot better the first 3 quarters than it was last year. And they did pretty well last year. Got all the way to the damn Super Bowl without an offensive line and without a defense. So the offensive line's way better and the defense is better. Like, people just written off the Chiefs. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are built for the playoffs. Like, I still believe in the Chiefs until they're done.
I see that defense like caving on occasion. Although, they were getting high praise throughout a good portion of the year when they amassed a Dolphin-like lengthy winning streak. They were cleaning up on a lot of cupcakes, if there could be cupcakes considered in the National Football League. But there were some patsy teams this year. They are the haves, and there are many have-nots in the National Football League. It seemed like they were icing a lot of stiffs. Let's put it that way. Yeah, and then they were tested late in the season when they really needed to win a ball game. They couldn't handle it. They absolutely caved in there. Against Cincinnati, right? Was it that big turning point game? And the Chiefs came back. They rallied. They looked pretty good in this ball game against Pittsburgh. If you missed the first 20 minutes, right? For a third of the ball game, they were dogs. And then
Yes.
Pittsburgh just wasn't a very good team. I mean, let's not forget it was expanded playoffs. This is a theory a lot of people are pointing to that 14 teams in the postseason. There probably are at least 2 that don't belong, right, Mr. NHL, where every team is in the postseason. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
getting
well,
to
no,
that
we
point.
saw the 2 that, and I love Gurgles, and we'll have him on tomorrow with
Philly
highly
and Pittsburgh, 2 worst teams. Yeah.
We both looked at him like, "You sure they're Gergs?" When that was his Super Bowl pick, and I thought both would be out, and both looked like they did not belong. Who were the 2 that don't belong? Those 2.
And they both got clobbered. All right, we're going to come back. An interesting night in college basketball last night. That was great. I'm seeing all these promos for the Winter Olympics, but I don't think has anybody sold on. Is there any U.S. interest whatsoever outside of parents and close friends
Yeah, exactly.
to many great competitors who certainly are deserving of more of a spotlight? But the whole idea it is Sepp Blatter syndrome, is it not? How are these games in Beijing at a time like this?
It's
I
classic.
mean, and who's really going to embrace it? And especially since we stink at the Winter Olympics anyway.
Not as
Outside
good.
of what? Bonnie Blair and Eric Hayden. Have we ever had a top winner? Had a couple of skiers, right?
Yep.
Who was that guy? Was his name Billy Kidd? Who was the guy that was the big time skier? And he was a real, one of these wild guys that you thought.
Oh man, we had him on the show. I can't remember his name now. That's really annoying.
Not Bodie Miller. I'm not talking about Bodie Miller.
Oh, not Bodie Miller. Okay, then I don't know.
He was a guy who bombed. He would end up falling flat on his face. He finally won a bronze.
Street. The one I always knew was Peekaboo Street.
Oh, Peekaboo Street. Yeah. Didn't she come on one of our shows one time? I remember interviewing
our Defo Radio stuff. I had her on Defo Radio, and I think she came on with us as well. We had her on a couple times. She's fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I mean,
I remember a guy that was good for America.
She reminded me of the tennis player Bethany Maddox Sands, who she's a very prominent doubles player, still active, but like just a wild child by comparison to the usually, very staunchly conservative tennis world. Right, where they don't really say anything. You don't hear a lot of controversial statements coming out of the tennis world. Even when, and I'll give you a quick cheap joke before we head into our next segment. And I saw this on social media. It was the Australians really know their tennis. Why? Because they know how to return a serve. SERB. Djokovic, man, return to sender. All right, we're coming back with more here on Ion Channel. Jack Namer, yes. We are back. Thank God, Lubie. I can't believe you didn't go in there with some kind of outfit on that would suggest that you were a massively racist and ethnically biased human being that couldn't possibly judge fairly anybody's fate, even in the most minor of misdemeanor criminal cases. That was a criminal case?
Yeah, it was weird. I was the
criminal
dumbest case try ever. Like all of us are looking at each other like, this is in a court? Like, what is going on?
I mean, did you look over at a bench? What was it, Judge Judy?
It was.
They're going,
you're a liar, and I can tell. I kept looking for the cameras. I'm like, are we on TV? Like, what case is this?
Kind of crazy, man. I can't believe you even went. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Hialeah Boxing, January 28th. Don't forget about it, kids. It's going to be a knockout card, if you'll pardon the pun there. All right, back with more in a moment. Tony Segreto goes old school with us later on in the second hour of the program. That's brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz, El Juror. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
You know what? I had nightmares last night about you becoming a jury foreman.
I don't care that he can't pass the ball. You see that offensive line?
I was like, I don't think I can be the foreman.
The fact that you were recognized in the Broward County Courthouse as Lubie, I find exceptionally complimentary to the reach of the show. All right, it's 7:45 on the East Coast here.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Either way, if they can get the right guy to fall, like, could be a coup. So there's a few guys around that area that actually could be really good if they get the right guy, honestly.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
Well, once again, everybody, great to be back with you here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. And we will have Tony Segreto joining us in the second hour of the program, going old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. Well, all you had to do was bring a tape recorder with you, Lubie, into court yesterday and play that clip. Your draft analysis. If they could get the right guy to fall, it could be a coup. So they need to get the right guy to fall. Mel Kiper, man. I mean, his hair would be standing up like Don King hearing a statement like that. You think Mel Kiper on ESPN could ever say something as ridiculous as if they get the right guy to fall, it could be a coup if they get the right guy to fall? Draft analysis.
He
My
hasn't.
God.
I've heard him say that exactly.
And they were going to let you decide the fate of some poor, unsuspecting person who was being, alleged to have gone ahead and executed criminal behavier? You have to be kidding me, Mike Lubitz. That's all they needed. I rest my case.
Next time I would just play that.
You could bring Quincy in himself with the forensic evidence, and you couldn't convince me that the stiff was any responsibility of mine. All right. Speaking of, we had this happen to us again, and I'm still, I think back to talking to Jim Larinaga. I could have done that the rest of the day. People ask you, "Hey, how's work?" I mean, that's hardly work, Libby.
That's not
talking to Jim Larinaga. So the Canes, who ended up after beating Duke, lost that gut wrencher to Florida State. Now, this is kind of good for your man Leonard Hamilton, who wasn't having the greatest season. Their record was very so-so by, recent being the last decade Florida State standards. Would you say? What were they, like 8-5 or something?
Well, no, they've now won 4 in a row. So they were. And they're 11-5, so they were 7-5, and they had a top 3 recruiting class. They
made it to 8-5 with that win, right? Against Miami.
Well, no, was Miami?
They were 7-5, or they were 7-5 after that game. Whatever it was very modest. But
4 in a row now. So.
They mowed down Miami, and they beat them on that last second pair of free throws by what was it? Evans? What was the kid's name?
Yes.
And then they come back, and I happened to catch the tail end of a very exciting win that they had on the road against Syracuse. Not the greatest Syracuse team. I don't think they've been in that category. They made the Final Four that one year that we were out in Houston as kind of a phony candidate for the Final Four. Yeah. Had a nice lucky run. Nobody could figure out the simplest of defenses, which we've commented on many, many times throughout the years. How on earth is Jim Boeheim still making a living running a 2-3 zone?
Exactly.
A defense that you're disgraced to even call at the park. Speaking of, Jim Larinaga and his days competing in various Bronx parks and parks around the city of New York, which had to be pretty significant. Look, they played a good brand of basketball in the parks in New York. Having been a Long Island kid, Mike Lubitz, I really didn't get that interested in playing competitive basketball. I mean, might have shot some baskets here and there until I was about 13, 14 years old, because we didn't play a lot of basketball on the streets of Brooklyn. It was punch ball, it was stick ball, it was stoop ball, it was box ball. Can I even call this? We used to have the game. It's now called like box ball technically, but it was also known as Chinese handball. Can you even say that?
I probably wouldn't, but if that's what
If you could say Chinese food, could you refer to this? I mean, there were no implications of any kind of epithets being thrown at Asian people because you call this game Chinese handball. But people that grew up in, I don't know, it probably was only unique to New York. Is that possible, Lubie, that there was a game that was, are there games that are played in particular cities that no other city even has a clue what you're talking about? I'm not sure. But Chinese handball, essentially you had an ace, king, queen, and jack. You had like 4 people capable of playing. You could play it with 2 people or 3, but 4 was usually the max.
Okay.
And you would hit the ball back and forth to yourself. You had to bounce it against the wall and come back and hit it on one bounce. Okay. And you could play with the ball in your own box for as long as you wanted to, right? I mean, you could just sit there and hit it like a dozen times before you did anything with it. And then finally, you would like swipe it away to somebody else. Okay. And they would have to be ready for it. And then they would keep the ball for a while and then hit it. And, whoever messed up would go to the back there. And, you would eventually have somebody emerge as the winner. They would eliminate the other people in the game. But was this game? I mean, it sounds like it's hard to even explain, right?
Yeah, you sort of lost me.
some guy that's watching in Wisconsin and saying, "What's that man talking about?" I think he's a Jewish kid from Brooklyn. No, they don't talk like hillbillies in Wisconsin. Can you do a Wisconsin accent? Is that being limited as a linguist and only being able to do like one accent is not a good thing in this show or this business.
Neither of us is great at accents. You're better than I am, but you're not like elite.
No, I'm horrible. What are you talking about? It's total fraud. I'm even attempting this. I mean, it's like my very weak Vince Scully impression. It sounds nothing like Vince Scully.
It's not.
And yet I'm convinced, because to me it sounds a little like Vince Scully when he goes, "Pull up a chair and stay a while."
That's fine, but that's all you really do well.
Who's pulling up a chair to the radio? I mean, how old school is that?
Well, Vince
Scully
was
Tony Segreto. Scully, I mean, and this was more common at the time. I mean, there are certainly people in this business that I have great respect for as human beings, and the way they, bring themselves off. I mean, the lovely and talented one was already telling me this morning that we were a disgrace at 708.
Oh, really?
Leslie Visser. But there are certain people that just exude dignity and class. Yes. And yet, at the same time, are also exhibiting a genuineness that exceeds any expectation you could have had for somebody of that lofty level of acclaim. Does that make sense? And Scully was one of those guys. I mean, literally, you would walk up to Vince Scully at any time, any place, anywhere that you happen to. I mean, it's not like everybody's running into Vince Scully every couple of seconds, although they all had Vince Scully in Los Angeles. He was very much entrenched in your head. Much like Marv Albert was. Very few guys can kind of get to that point as broadcasters or communicators of any type, right?
Yeah.
Where, but everybody listened to ball games on the radio back then. And, of course, Scully was the master. And you would have to stuff yourself and your face with Dodger dogs loaded with sauerkraut during the 3 innings that Jerry Doggett was calling the game. Because Scully would do like the first 3, and then they had a backup guy named Jerry Doggett. And Jerry Doggett was with Scully forever, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's true in the case of this show where, the sort of second guy is not the feature guy, but he's obviously an important part of the program, because the guy was calling 3 innings, but it isn't nearly anywhere near as good. Is that by design as the main guy? Well, Scully wasn't fearing for his job. I mean, the guy is probably the smoothest, silky voiced play-by-play guy that you ever heard in your lifetime. He made it easy to listen to a ball game.
He did it by himself, and he never got bored.
No, and he did it. I mean, fortunately, he's still with us, but not as great. But you could approach him anywhere, and there are very few people of that level of acclaim I would imagine, that are like this because of the frequent number of times that they're being approached. But you felt like, and this is something, I don't know, do people strive for this? Do you think with these argumentative shows where everybody's spitting at each other and screaming at each other, is there a movement on there? Is the underlying theme that you would like the announcer that's bringing you the broadcast to, you would want to feel like he was almost like a friend or a family member. If you ran into him, you felt like you know the guy.
Yeah, it's a conversational. That's what I've learned from you. You want it to be a conversation.
Right. Like if you ran into me at the track, I'm having the same conversation.
Yeah, honestly.
Mostly with myself. Yeah. See that man? He's talking to himself. Those used to be crazy people that were talking to themselves. Now they're all on cell phones.
Exactly. Well,
I get a kick out of it when I'm on the walk of life, and some guy's like yelling and screaming.
What, are you kidding me? You don't think we can get this done on time?
And I'm looking. He's walking by himself.
That always.
And then you realize, he's got one of those things, not the rabbit ears.
The earpiece, yeah. The earpiece.
What do you call in the past, though? When you used to have like the CD player, portable CD player. Remember when that was an innovation?
Yeah, the Discman.
And you'd slap a CD in there, and you would have the earphones,
headphones.
I guess.
Headphones.
Yeah, man, that got me through a lot of flights when I was traveling with the basketball team there. I wore out the Allman Brothers Band live at the Fillmore East. It was like the only CD I had that didn't skip. And I think I listened to that for like all 32 games that year, any traveling that we did. And they used to stay on the road for like a week at a time because it was sort of prohibitive to just keep schlepping back and forth to Miami. That's why when Jim Larinaga was talking about that travel, I don't think they're at the point where they, have chartered flights for the basketball team. So you're flying with every other schmank that's on his way to North Carolina.
I don't think they travel I don't think they go to like the airport with the whole freaking team anymore. I think they do have some kind of a special flight.
That guy that was going to build a stadium can't like loan him, the team a private jet. Maybe that's why they're playing better.
I've never seen like a team in the middle of the airport, so I don't know.
I was in a zillion airports with the basketball team.
Yeah. I don't think they still do that. I think they have a special flight or something.
And all the connecting flights were through like Charlotte, North Carolina. So I was always, I remember, sitting there with Constantine Popa, and everybody's looking at this guy like, "Hey, is a circus in town?" But in North Carolina, they understood that had to be like a college basketball team.
Basketball, yeah.
It'd be people like schlepping around on commercial airlines. So, all right, we're coming back with more. Tony Segreto is going to. Wow, this has flown by here, Lubie.
Yes,
what was it? The interest and the illustrious and illustrative way that you told that story about being in court?
I don't know.
The Lubie recognition factor, though. I was with you the first time that you experienced it, and that was also in an airport, right?
Yes, I was at the airport. I've been recognized in various places, and it always catches me off guard. That was totally the judge.
Did they recognize you by the voice? I mean, I get that.
I don't know. A lot. I guess my name, between the name and the voice, the guy was like, "But they also call you Lubie." I was like, "Who's they?" Like, what is he talking about? And then he's like, "I know who you are, buddy." And I'm like,
"Why didn't he go into a Lubie impression? That would have been great in court if you got a defense attorney in front of the judge and then the judge."
I was like, "Am I supposed to do a promo here?" I'm like, "What am I?"
Why did you wear an Ion Channel T-shirt with the Defo Show on IonChannel.com? That would have got you thrown off jury duty, and also maybe somebody would have gotten a picture of it on the news or something.
I should have had your fully vaccinated shirt. That's what I should have done. We've walked around.
I have one. I could model it also in the next segment. I think I will do that because I want to sell these shirts. I found a box. I've got about 46 of them left. All right, from the original batch of 50, and I think Marty the Party Sacks also might have like a significant number of these shirts. Now they could go into a second printing. I will say this. I was wearing one the other day while I was on my walk of life, and there isn't a single time that at least the over-under is 3 and a hook on people that will actually react to the fully vaccinated shirt, either with a thumbs up or, "Whoa, I like that shirt." And I want to stop walking because I'm usually obviously going in the other direction, or they wouldn't be seeing the front of my shirt. And, I want to stop and say, "Hey, I could sell you like 20 of them right now. Give me a check for $400. That'll cover my nut." And then, all right, I'm gonna have one on for Segreto. See if he even notices. All right, don't tell him.
Okay.
See if he even notices the shirt. All right, Tony Segreto's coming up, going old school with us. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I'm going to see the boys later this afternoon, Libby. You'll be happy
Nice.
about
Send
that.
them my love. Miss those guys.
Yeah. So I'll be seeing them and also seeing you later on out at the Even Keel Fish Shack here in Fort Lauderdale.
Bring some
Lauderdale
Holy
by the Sea.
So we can pass
Yes,
them out.
I'll bring a couple of. Well, no, I'm going to try and sell them here on the show.
I know you are.
In fact, I want people to know that everything on the set that you see is for sale. We have to start generating some capital on this show beyond what we already have in terms of revenue here. And so because we've expanded, we have cameras, we have lights, we have makeup people,
But if
equipment.
we do a show.
So anything you see, like if you like any of these boxing posters, we got Danny Williams versus Vitaly Klitschko there, and that was a brick of a fight. Speak about degenerates. I'm standing behind a guy at the MGM Grand, some crazy fat British guy, right? It was it was like Elton John meets Sergeant Slaughter, and he's at the windows crushing 25 dimes on Danny Williams at he had to be like an 8-1 underdog to lose to Klitschko, who was a monster, right? Vitaly Klitschko.
Yeah.
And this guy Williams, what his claim to fame was? He was the guy that got a win over Mike Tyson when Tyson was already a shot fighter by leaps and bounds, could care less. And remember, he tore like his anterior cruciate.
Yeah.
Tyson did. So he had to quit in the bout. I mean, he literally had an injury that you'd be carted off the football field for. But boxers, these kind of injuries, that they often fight through them. And he did for a little while. And then finally, so Williams gets this bogus win over Tyson, who was fighting 2 rounds with a torn anterior cruciate ligament in his knee. And they got him a title fight against Klitschko, if you could believe that.
Nice.
And the Brits, I mean, they're so insane that they were betting their brains out on this guy, Danny Williams. So that poster, I don't know, it may be of some significance to some guy. I wouldn't drag it into pubs, if you happen to be traveling to Europe over there. That Danny Williams. I mean, he sucked up a lot of cash there. I mean, you should have seen the guys that were taking the tickets, the ticket writers at the MGM Grand, every time they saw like a guy with a British flag on. It was like Paul Revere had shown up. It was great. Said, yeah, they're coming, and they got bags full of money. They're crazy sports fans, man. I mean, if they get behind somebody, especially a boxer, it's absolutely insane. All right, coming back with Tony Segreto, going old school here in just a few minutes. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Are we catching up with Ed Garcia today?
The great Ed Garcia will be joining us, as always, around between 8:15 and 8:20.
All right, they still have Harbaugh, so he's going to be a happy guy. And, of course, he's running a great shop there at Texas Roadhouse as the East Coast Regional Manager. And these restaurants are great. All right, we're coming back with Tony in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Here on Ion Channel, it's 8:04.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half, Sally. They are giving the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of old school. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place. And that one place is Catholic Health Services.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
All right, morning once again, everybody. Great to be with you. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, the Defo Show here on on Channel. And always a favorite part of our week is bringing you this gentleman who, of course, always brings joy and laughter to everybody out there.
Yeah.
And for a long time, he delivered a very serious message here to South Floridians as well, as he was featured as the premium news guy. I mean, he ran off everybody. It was just incredible. Ann Bishop went into a fetal position every night thinking about the ratings Tony Segreto was generating on NBC here in South Florida. And I always thought of him as a sports guy, and I always loved the guy because he had one of those, personalities where you thought, wow, this is a very generous, giving, sincere guy. And plus, nobody's closer to Don Shula than Tony Segreto was, or any of the big shots that were out there at the time. We had some real iconic people here. Speaking of old school, Tony, I know we talk about them a lot, but I feel very lucky sometimes when I'm contemplating, how my life went and I'm on my walk of life. I think, wow, I was such a fan of Angelo Dundee. I got to know the guy. Just from moving to Miami, and you would sit down, and it was like he knew you, his whole life.
Yeah, first name basis. By the way, nice T-shirt. You selling those?
You're not allowed to tune into the show before you come on, Tony.
I wasn't
in case we're
tuned
having
in.
to set you up for some kind of a fall.
I just joined. I had no idea. Do you have any of those to sell? That'd be good.
I do. I have a box full. That's the problem.
You should bring them to places like Georgia and Michigan and upstate Florida. I'm sure
but
they
wouldn't
really
know what
well.
we were talking about. What's that? Fully vaccinated. They wouldn't even be able to pronounce vaccinated. What are you talking about? Do you like the syringe as the word sign is on it? The syringe as the exclamation point.
Yeah.
See, and I have to tell you, Tony, these should have sold like wildfire. It was another one of my lame ideas. You're familiar with the movie Night Moves? Yeah. Michael Keaton. Where what does he want to do? He wants to put the mayonnaise in the tuna can.
It was the light. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
I was going to say, and then the line is, he tells his buddy, "Hey, let's put the mayonnaise in the tuna can, and that way people don't have to mix it and mess with the mayonnaise when they open up a can of tuna." And then he says, "Call Starkist." like there's room at the top. Yeah, these should have sold like crazy, no, Tony?
I totally understand. You're living the life of a combo of Fred Flintstone and Ralph Cramden. They both are going to make it big. Alice, this is going to be it. This is it, Alice.
I'm telling you, we're right on the cusp. Can a Corey apple? That would be the question.
Hey, listen,
but what do you think? I mean, shouldn't this way you don't have to, tell people. I mean, if Djokovic had been wearing this, he'd be, creaming guys into the third round of the Australian Open because everybody just realizes that, wow, okay, fully vaccinated. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, as long as but there should be like some sort of, a trademark mark on it that it like says that you're truly vaccinated and didn't just buy the shirt off of Jeff Deforrest somewhere on the street.
People that wouldn't get vaccinated though would not be inclined to buy the shirt.
Why not?
I don't know that this was designed to fool anybody. It's just so that the people that are passing me on my walk of life, when they look at you, they don't put the mask on and all of this stuff. They don't have to go to any unnecessary steps because they know the person coming towards them is fully vaccinated.
So basically what you're telling us is the shirt and you together is the combo of creating like a human version of Woody Woodpecker, the instigator. You're trying to see what kind of reaction you're going to get from people.
I get a lot of thumbs up on this shirt.
I
you know
bet
what?
you do.
Surprisingly
Well,
so. Considering that I got stiffed with the whole box. I mean, I don't think we sold one. We had one guy actually, you know, that came to us and was going to buy like 30 of them. And I thought we were on our way. But, you know, if I was licensed to go to some flea market or something, don't you think that these would disappear like wildfire? I mean, even as a novelty.
Without question. Now, there's your answer.
Question.
There is your
make
answer.
it a novelty? Like the.
Come on, Ralph. There's your answer.
The smile.
What's the weirdest thing that you've ever sold, Tony, as an endorser? See, you have legitimate guys up and down. You're turning people down that we would love to have on any show.
The weirdest thing I've ever sold.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was like 17, I worked at Lorenzo's Italian Market, which they were a sponsor of ours. Yeah, they're no longer around. They closed shop, and
who wouldn't at $13 million for the land? That was a nice story.
Yeah. My job was I stuffed sausage. I made sausage. I stuffed the sausage behind the deli.
What were you putting in there? You have to clarify this stuff now on internet platforms.
So anyway,
food,
yeah. Anyway, so my job was, after I stuffed it, was to sell it. So that's probably at the time the weirdest thing I ever sold.
Oh, but I meant as an endorser. Like, did they ever hand you something at the station and you had to hold it up and it was like a Popeil's pocket fisherman?
People literally had a sponsor that was a golf club that you peed in, and then you still kept using it.
It was called the Euro Club. All right, now this urologist had come up with it. He was the only guy spending money at the station at the time. And so I was endorsing this golf club that actually had like a phony shaft in it. And you literally urinated into the club. So you didn't have to go into the woods or like pee on like Don Shula's lawn if you were playing Indian Creek. And you know, it was totally useless because does it come in sizes, right? And are those sizes going to be ethnic? I mean, you know, what do? You go into the sports shop and say, I need a Euro Club. Yeah, I'm a Jew. Right. But, you know, then you were walking around the rest of the round with this club, you know, like kind of an urn full of urine, which was just go in the woods at that point. I mean, a useless thing. Guess what? It's sold on Shark Tank for $50,000. Mark Cuban, I think, bought it. Yeah.
No, I think the strangest thing I sold was fish oil.
Okay, and were you an advocate of this? Had you tried it?
Yeah, it actually worked. It really did.
Oh, get out of here, Tony! Come on, you don't have to say this now.
No, it did. Actually, I was doing it. I did it with OJ McDuffie.
Oh yeah, I just saw him. By the way, I just saw him the other night.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But no,
always makes you feel good.
Yeah, that was one of the weirder things.
Fish oil. Okay.
Yeah. So, by the way, I want to go back to
so you see what I'm up against here. I mean, you've only been like fully legit your whole life, which is what we admire and respect about you. Where we have had to resort to various carnival-like tactics.
So here's what I think
to perform.
I think to really kind of test the waters here. Now, I think you got a message here. We got a message from a listener. My buddy has a big booth for the last 20 years at the swap shop.
I'm taking him there. All right.
He's a big perfume distributor. You want him to sell your T-shirts?
Yes.
This comes from TIV77.
Oh, Andy. Yeah, that's our man. Andy.
Yeah.
Too.
So why don't you give him the
I'd be happy to. Yeah.
And then, you know, you give them a percentage of what you want to sell the shirts
you know, how
for.
small of a percentage can we negotiate here? Because I have a lot of money tied up in these shirts, Tony. Everything on the set is for sale. Did you ever say that when you were on NBC or on any of your national television performances?
Never.
Hey, by the way, folks, everything on the set is for sale.
Tony Segreto, are you kidding me?
Yeah. You want me to give that number out, Lubie, in case anyone wants to buy one of these? Because that's... I mean, is it that cheesy? This is the show you're on now, Tony. A show so cheesy, we're giving out a phone number to sell T-shirts. Dan Patrick does it, right? Doesn't Dan Patrick do this?
I would be curious to see. I would be curious to see if we created like a Defo old school or just a Defo show, whatever.
Who knows where this can go?
Why not? Why not try it? What do we have to lose? Jack Namer would go for this. Hey, Jack, why don't you let us know?
You think Jack's going to spring for the shirts? What are you kidding me, Tony?
Yeah, because it'll be for Ion. It'll promote Ion too.
Well, we could have put that on there. Jack would ask me to just attach that to it. No, I don't know. Look, the possibilities are endless. We were going to do the easy baseball shirts with the Polyman, a caricature of the Polyman, and which you've seen the Polyman many times, have you not, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
You do such a
Very.
great job, Tony, on the show.
Yeah.
You know the Polyman, the Trivia Challenge fame, and it was going to have like a balloon with him saying "Easy Baseball," which is how he starts every show. The first question is always Polyman saying "Easy Baseball," as if he was Yogi Bear himself.
By the way, I heard from Gurgles last night.
Oh yeah,
and he said, "Defo never paid me the $39 that you owe me."
Very possible.
And I go, I'm embarrassed because he said he was going to pay you the money.
That was 2 years ago, though, Tony. I mean, there's a statute of limitations on these kind of debts.
Defo's mind, there's a
See, since it was money that he bet for you.
Yeah, and
I mean, I'm the harmless middleman in this. I'm victimized. Did you ever send me the $39?
Yeah, I did. He called it a Defoism.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, well, I sent him the money. And he goes, well, I never got the $39.
I'll tell you what, I'll get you 2 of these shirts. We were going to go 20 a pop on these things.
That's a weird.
All right, I'll get Gurgles your $39. I believe that was from the Kentucky Derby that Secretariat won.
Yes.
So
Yes, it is. But anyway, it's like 10 o'clock. Gurgles gets a hold of me. He goes, I still haven't got the $39. I go, what are you kidding me?
He called you about that at 10 o'clock? I thought he was doing well, Gurgles. He's collecting various retirement accounts.
I guess it's his IRA.
He worked for the Graham organization there for 40 years. This guy, he's got to be getting a little taste there, and he's old enough. He's an old fart like I am to be collecting a substantial amount of Social Security. He was a legitimate worker who paid his taxes, unlike me.
What is
Do you realize we've gone? What have we gone? 16.
A long time on the shirts. Yeah,
16 minutes on the show.
I knew you would pick it up.
We haven't talked one word of sports yet. Not one. This was just fine.
Well, all right.
Is Ed Garcia on the phone yet, Lube?
Luby's searching for Ed Garcia, so we were just killing time there. Yeah, for the people out, we're not trying to fool anybody with this show.
By the way, listen, I want to revisit what you said about being fortunate and blessed to be here with all these different iconic people.
Man, we only got to Dundee. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, I want to. When we get off with
Schuler,
Ed, when we come back from a break, there were so many different people that you would literally be at a restaurant with, or run into at the cleaners, or see at the grocery store, or whatever the case might be. And these were all iconic. Just it wasn't your B guy, your third string guy. This was the star. These were the stars of the stars.
Well, and they were very integrated into the community, and I want to say that stopped happening as much maybe in the 2000s, because when I ran into O.J. McDuffie. I was at an event Friday night with the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. They had this barbecue battle from the Fort Lauderdale Wine and Food Festival, very well run. And OJ happens to be a huge advocate of a woman named Juliet, who has a thing called Licky Sticky Barbecue, where I believe she's setting up like in various parking lots, at community parks, and selling and sells out, man, like the lines around the corner.
Yeah.
And she was there, and OJ was with her. And, you run into a guy like that, and you're thinking, there's an immediate, genuine camaraderie from the days that, you were following the Miami Dolphins around, and he was a player for the Fins. And he's always kind of had that personality where, as soon as you see the guy, you get like a good vibe and feel very comfortable. But I don't know that you see that as much anymore, with the, I don't want to say the modern day athlete, but, I don't know that I would recognize a lot of the Miami Dolphin players, if I ran into them in like Publix, which used to be like a common thing. You would see, Cooch at the store, You're like, that's Bob Kuchenberg, like, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. We have Ed. I saw that we got Ed.
Ed Garcia, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. You still have Harbaugh, Ed, and you still have, the best steakhouse anywhere in town.
Yes, I am not complaining. I think he's making a great choice, and keep our fingers crossed we hold on true to that.
Well, Ed, listen, I know you guys had your big corporate meetings in Kentucky this last couple of weeks, and can you take the curtain back a little bit for us and give us an idea of what new and exciting things we can expect at Texas Roadhouse?
It is one of the greatest things. It's been 2 years since we got to get together and see everybody. So that part was really cool. And actually, when we kicked off the meeting, we got to hear from our new president, and then we huddled up. We did have a few University of Georgia alumni missing, but it started last Monday, and we got to watch the game together. And what a game! But I am happy the people that took down the Maize and Blue got to wear the ring. So, I can at least say we were beat by the champions. But regardless, the message hasn't changed. We are going to continue to stay focused on our legendary food and our legendary service. Our pricing is going to continue to hold strong, and we're going to do whatever we can to continue to take care of our employees and take care of our guests. And that part was so refreshing. And that's one of Kent's visions, that this whole time, as when COVID happened and with inflation, it is really cool to just see all these people step up and making sure that we can get the product that we need and to take care of our guests. So that way we can continue to be the friendliest place in town and take care of the community, which I feel like Texas Roadhouse is doing more and more and more, which is fantastic. So just something to think about. Last night, I know I told you guys I was traveling. I flew in from Michigan yesterday and came right up here to Port St. Lucie, and they just had this amazing fundraiser for some local police officers that recently lost their lives. And it was incredible to turn out the community. Over $10,000 in silent auction materials and different things like that. It's cool. That's our message, is that, hey, we're here to be part of this town. Every roadhouse has that individual owner operator that, just embeds themselves into the community, and that's where they want to be till they move on. So very cool stuff.
Yeah, I think to me that's what stands out. You're consistently serving up great food with an atmosphere that is friendly for a family, a couple, someone by themselves. They never feel out of place, and they can feel comfortable in terms of how you've handled COVID and all of the different protocols that you put in place to make sure people are safe, and all the different ways that they can get your food, not just sitting at your restaurant. So that is amazing. I know Lubie has used your takeout many times.
And your coupons there, gift cards. Yes,
No, but that's the thing. You have perfected takeout to the point where when you get it home to eat it, you feel like you're sitting at the restaurant and eating it like it was just served to you. So I just think that's testimony to everything you've talked about plus more.
Absolutely. I couldn't appreciate it. Very proud of the team, very proud of the team inside the restaurants and the team in Kentucky that just continue to provide us with all the tools. It really is awesome because, you see it all around, it's very unfortunate. Some people go to other restaurants, hey, we can't take care of a party of that size, or, hey, we have to have some of the dining room closed, or, hey, we don't have this product because we can get it. Very, very challenging. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. However, I'm proud to say that, Texas Roadhouse is doing very, very well in this storm of continuing to provide that legendary food and legendary service. So I think the marching orders are clear. We're going to continue to provide Lubie with the best sweet potatoes out there possible, loaded with marshmallows and caramel and all that good stuff. And then, for Defo, we still have that gallon of margarita that you can take home with you.
Hey, do you have a location in Las Vegas, Ed? Is there a Texas Roadhouse anywhere in the Vegas vicinity, even Henderson or parts, that are remotely out of town?
We actually have. We opened last year.
Get out of here.
The old part of Vegas. Yeah, I want to say what's that called, Fremont.
Downtown.
We just opened another. Yes, we just opened another one December 3rd.
Nice.
And then we're working on number 3, which I want to say Henderson. So
okay, I'm going to be there for 4 nights. So those will take 3 of them and save me about $600 from the steakhouse at the Circus.
There you go. Exactly.
That'd be beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Ed, we love you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Man, Ed, you're the best. You're the best, man. We love you, man. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's I say in the commercials we do, Defo and Lubie, it's the one night when you go there or whenever it is you go there, you forget about being on a low carb diet, because when the rolls come, you're done. You're just done.
I have to say this, Tony, and and we've talked about selling stuff on the air, and the Euro Club obviously was a bit farcical, but I was forced to because the station at that time was so desperate for money that nobody was turning any capital down. And the way, I mean, you have this ingrained in people's heads, the fresh baked bread, because the way you said that on the commercial when we used to run that spot, and people would come up to me and I would mention Segreto and they would go, that fresh baked bread, as it were, like you were auditioning to do a voiceover on a Triple X movie. It was incredible. That was great. No, I always think about that. I can smell the stuff.
I know. Listen,
Really
Lubie, you said you were recognized at the jury duty, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't understand why. I cannot tell you how many people, especially now, more so than ever, who stop me and say, Tony Segreto, and I go, yes. They go, we recognized your voice.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
And you sort of shake your head going, wow, that's really discernible, because I'm not sure I could recognize, I guess I probably could. It's just something I've never thought about.
Your wife. Yeah, that would be the bad one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, I know that voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff. No, but he was recognized as Lubie. That's the first time I was with him. We were in an airport, and Lubie, he wasn't sure that this was going anywhere, which, I don't know that it did. But we were together 11 years with that same job, and here we are on new horizons, which I couldn't be any more excited about, honestly, Tony. And I never felt better about anything in my life. So anyway, so we're in an airport, and Lubie's contention was that only old farts, only old geezers, the geezers at Caesars, listen to anything that guys like you and me had to say. Less so you, because you're like hip and, you hang out with kids and everything. Whereas me, I'm talking about Bob Murphy, the old Mets announcer with Minervini the other day, and like 3 people in the country knew who the hell we were talking about.
Exactly.
But we loved him, right? And so he was convinced that nobody under the age of 70 or death listened to any program I was on. And then we were in an airport, and there's these 2 young guys. And, they asked Lubie, like, is that your carry-on? And he goes,
Yeah, that's my carry-on.
and, is immediately defensive as if he had a bomb in the freaking back. And these 2 guys go, Lubie. And they were like 19 and 20. And they said they listened to the show every day, that they were absolutely in love with it. So it was great.
Funny. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Start signing autographs, man. Get those autographs down.
He almost signed a death warrant for the program by even volunteering to show up for jury duty. Who does that?
You don't want to get arrested.
By the way, speaking of phony selling, I don't know if you've seen this commercial. You probably don't watch a lot of TV while you're up in Vermont. Is that true? Did I have TV reception there in that cabin?
Yes.
What do you got, the big dish?
He's like the
I
first.
do actually. I do have the big dish. I have the big dish. It's like, you still hear it going.
Yeah. All right, so have you seen this commercial? It runs on a lot of sports programming with Ice-T, the rapper and now accomplished actor Ice-T, and he claims that he goes to Car Shield to ensure, and he's in like a museum that Jay Leno would be throwing up that somebody had this much ammunition in terms of vintage cars. And he's implying that he insures the mechanical work on these cars with this thing, Car Shield. Now, do you believe that he's really doing it? I mean, come on. You have to be kidding me. He's got a Bentley that, when there's a fleck of dust on it, somebody comes out there with a feather duster and knocks it off.
Or he just gets another one.
Yeah. So,
or just gets another one. Exactly.
That seems like a very insincere ad to me. I don't know. I don't want to impugn the integrity of a guy like Ice-T because who knows with rappers.
What's interesting is that more and more companies, though, are really getting away from that, that celebrity endorsement, just because they're not sure of what they're getting themselves into, right?
Serena is selling everything though now. Serena.
Yeah, now she is. Yeah.
Oh my God. There's nothing. I mean, you go to buy a sandwich. There's Serena's picture.
Yeah. What's interesting
the roast beef,
is like a lot of these celebrities, like Matthew McConaughey, Bob Dylan. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. They're like loaning their name and endorsing and getting into business with
Why not?
With bourbon.
Yeah,
they're like celebrity bourbons, and now they're ranking the celebrity bourbons, and there's like a multitude of them. It's a remarkable.
It was tequila
trend
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think The Rock is with the kid. By the way, my son. He kind of turned me on to it. I should have known earlier. I mean, I'd seen it, but never had watched it. There is no way anymore on a Monday night I'm going to watch a game unless I'm watching Peyton and Eli do the game.
Oh yeah, people love that.
a long time ago, like months ago.
See,
It's
I
the
like
only
to
way
rip
to
the
watch it.
announcing, so I listen to the other guys there, and
No, I can't.
I hate to say
cannot-
it because I know you know the guy, but I cringe when Brian Greasy says something, and I realize that Jesus, anybody could have that job.
Yeah, well, I all I know is that I love listen that The Rock was on, and not that any of that they have on is going to.
I love The Rock though,
but it's just
going back to his
entertaining.
days. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
great.
yeah, and here's the guy he's got his own tequila out. That was the
Yes.
point I was going
of
to bring out.
course.
But,
Why
but,
not?
but Peyton and Eli, man, they got it going strong. They have all these
Great.
different people on,
Yeah.
and you get and then it was just fun to watch. It gives the game, because by Monday night, I don't care how big a sports fan you are, and even if you're betting every game, you're exhausted.
Yep.
From watching all these games. So you want to watch something. If you want to watch the game, you want to be entertained in some form or fashion, but still not lose perspective of the game. And I think whoever came up with the concept, A, should be, given a lifetime contract, and B, however they convinced
Both of them.
and Eli to do it together, and what there must be paying them, I would love to know.
It would be
that.
worth it, man. Well, everybody
Yeah.
was after Peyton Manning to be the analyst, and you know what?
Yeah.
I have to respect the fact that he held out and now is
Yeah.
doing it his own way.
Yep.
And he doesn't have to be resigned to just a series of boring and meaningless
Yeah.
cliches after
Yep.
every play,
Yep.
over analyzing the simplest of
Yep.
plays and going into telestrators and all this crazy stuff, explaining what you knew as a 5-year-old, as our good friend Andy would say.
Yeah, but let me tell
'Cause
you,
you've been
what,
watching sports your whole life.
Have you been seeing what these guys, with Troy and Collinsworth and Tony Romo are making now?
Oh, yeah.
They're oh my
No,
gosh,
it's some good
absolutely
cake. Well,
insane.
Romo set the bar. I mean, and I think that guy probably right now is like the warden in Shawshank. He might have a gun right under his chin. The guy that signed Tony Romo for $18 million or whatever
Yeah.
that is a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Romo.
But because he just seems like the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech there, does he not? I mean, he was interesting and sort of charming and unique in the beginning, and I don't even know that anybody's following what he's saying anymore. Do you? I mean, it's just a rambling.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
I
kind of
still-
like me,
I-
a
I
rambling
still-
piece of drag.
I enjoy him. I listen. I think he enjoys.
You're quirky, though. Tony.
Yeah, but listen. What's interesting is that I think Drew Brees is going to be really, really, really good.
Reese
at
is
it.
good.
I think he's tried to be Romo last week doing a game and predicting a play, and he tried to predict like 3 different plays, and all 3 plays were not the way he predicted them.
Yeah.
So he's sort of like
So it's
backed
time
off of
to
that.
throw in a towel on that for a while, right?
Yeah.
In other words, don't hit another drop shot into the net, will you? Right? Your
Yeah.
doubles partner is always screaming at you. Why are you trying that?
I can't answer that one.
Yeah. No, Breeze. I think he'll be a good analyst. He seems like a good guy, and obviously, I mean, you would want that kind of insight from a guy who's been in these situations. I mean, that's what the color analyst is supposed to do. John McEnroe, probably the best of the best in all sports.
Oh yeah, he is.
At taking you inside the head of the guy who's playing.
And he is not. What I love about McEnroe is that he is not afraid to tell you the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is. Listen, he's a former player. He belongs to that fraternity, but he also says, "Hey, man, the guy's like sending it in today.
Yeah.
He needs to get his head put on right."
Well, that's
Or
why I
whatever.
like Peyton and Eli, because they'll both look at each other like, what the hell call was that? They don't give a damn.
As opposed to another brilliant call there by Eric Dayball.
Yeah, but
I
they
tell you
do
what,
it. They-
running the
they
ball
do
right
it.
into the line of scrimmage with 3
Yeah.
fat guys ready to
All
pounce
the
on
guys
him.
out there like, that was a stupid call.
Yeah.
And Eli's great. Eli's like, I don't know what he's thinking, Peyton. Like, it's 3rd and 2. Why is he throwing a bomb when you have the tight end wide open in
Yeah.
the flat? And I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I've never heard an analyst do that. That was tremendous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to switch over, Tony.
It's
Yeah,
great.
I'm gonna tell you what, it is so much fun to watch. I urge people who are listening, if you've never seen it on Monday night, I think it's on ESPN2.
Is that it though?
Sure
I
it
mean,
is.
I think obviously that's it for the Monday night games. I don't
They
think.
don't
do
I
it.
don't know if NBC and CBS have the rest of the games and Fox, or
Yeah, they don't do
I think ESPN's out
Yeah.
of the playoffs at this point. Very possible.
Oh,
All right, we'll
yeah,
come
that
back.
might be. Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that. Tony Segreto, we're old school with Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. We'll tell you more about Catholic Health Services in just a few minutes here on the show. And very worthwhile. Take notes on that one, people, because I had that experience. You're thinking, I'm never going to need these guys. And then when you really need something and some help in the medical field, and especially recovery from serious things like strokes and hip replacements and all of that, or unfortunately, if somebody is about to go to that great casino in the sky, Catholic Health Services really came through like no other organization you could possibly imagine for my family. And I know they've done great work with Tony as well and everybody else that comes in contact with them. All right, we're coming back with more here with Tony Segreto. It's Old School with Tony Segreto. And we're happy to be on Ion Channel. Jack, he's got his fingers crossed. He still believes. What are we, about 19 days into this thing? That 2022 is going to be our year.
Oh, the year,
Well,
yeah.
listen, Jack, I think Jack, we really need T-shirts made, bud. That's what we need.
Devo has
These
it.
are for sale. Now, what's the number? 954-471-0070. I'm serious about this, Tony.
Yeah, no, listen.
I've been getting clobbered at the track. I have to unload these shirts. I was trying to think, you ever been in a situation gambling? See, you always, probably were pretty responsible. Whereas I've been on my last dollar many, many times. Too recently to care to mention. But
Did we just blow by the break?
kind of doing it, yeah. But no, I mean, so I thought, okay, I've been getting clobbered at the track. Let me sell these shirts. What can I sell? Have you ever thought that in your lifetime? What can I put on to get back in the casino and see if I can't get on a run?
You've never done that.
Oh yeah.
Your fault.
All right.
Always done that to
You know,
us.
How'd you make out on the playoffs, by the way? Yeah, I know you made some bets.
Yeah, I did okay. I kind of broke even. It wasn't anything. I want to know. I want to know something beyond the wager.
Yeah.
Beyond the wager from the both of you.
Yes.
In a perfect world, what two teams would you like to see in the Super Bowl?
Oh,
This has
like to
nothing do
see.
with wagering,
Come
back.
just from a fandom
Yeah.
standpoint.
When we come back,
All right, we'll get into that when we come back. That's a good throw, Tony. I like that. That's
Great
real
tease.
journalism there. That's broadcasting.
I've still got a little game now.
Yeah. I mean,
Me too.
give them a tease, give them a reason to come back. Stick through the break as we sell some more stuff here on the show, and it's all good stuff.
We got to get to the break first.
exactly. That's no problem.
954-471-0070. Call Lubie, leave him some info. We'll get you the shirts. $20 a pop. Is that a fair price? All right, back in a moment. Now that.
Jesus.
The time.
Only $20, 2 for 38. It's 8:36. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. That's okay. You were known as Keith Wilkes when you were broadcasting here in South Florida on TV, as smooth as silk whenever it came to the eloquence, the overall Shakespearean-like eloquence that you always expressed. And there you were because you lost the bet.
Yes.
How much money did you have on that, Tony?
Exactly.
Why don't you just transparency?
We're not going to
is what we're all
discuss
about
that. We're not going to discuss that. That's why I may have to call Anna at Deal Volkswagen because like I told you,
You're going to need a deal, man. I mean, no money down, one of those kind of things. Yeah, because you don't have any money. That's usually the main reason to take advantage of that.
Defo and Lubie always have a blast kicking it old school with the iconic Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Somebody loan me a dime.
That could have been the case for my buddy Francesco after the first round of wildcard playoff games as he managed to get bludgeoned, although did make a little comeback, got a little rise when the Rams throttled Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, and that was one of those blowout city games that was over very early. And all that was left to do was to see how many more clown plays Cliff Kingsbury could call before he made his exit from the postseason, a team that a lot of people had high regard for during the year. I feel like this. Tony Segreto with us. We're all school with Tony Segreto. Always great to have Tony here on Ion Channel. And I don't know. I have dire straits in my head ever since that first segment. We got to move these microwave ovens. Got to sell these color TVs. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, we're trying to unload everything here on the set with Tony in our presence. All right, you posed a question, a nice hypothetical there.
Yes.
I'm not sure I have the answer. I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan for a lot of reasons, and I would like to see Kansas City redeem themselves by winning a Super Bowl. I like their team and the exciting offensive, explosive element they have. It hasn't been on display as much this year. They've been victimized. I mean, the theory out there on the Chiefs was, that their defense was a sieve, although statistically, if you're a sabermetrics person, they had among the leading defenses for a long period of time. But every time I tune in, somebody's driving right down the field on these guys as if there was nobody out there whatsoever, as if Andy Reid himself was playing cornerback.
Yeah.
And they're torching him. So they're suspect, especially late in games, as was evidenced by Cincinnati. But I was at a place and somebody asked me what I thought of Patrick Mahomes. And I said, I love the kid.
Yeah.
And I do. I'm rooting
pretty
for
hard
him.
not to. It's pretty hard not
I mean,
to.
a very likable guy. I'm even thinking about switching my insurance to State Farm, speaking of selling stuff. And they both were like, you asshole. How could you say that? I mean, the two guys, they both turned around and attacked me that I was so wrong. And how could I have ever had like a chair on a sports talk show with so little knowledge of what was going on out there? So I'm kind of rooting for him. I guess that got under my skin a little bit, that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind seeing them in the Super Bowl. And on the other side, I mean, look, you can always go old school and take Tom Brady and see if he doesn't just break Belichick's balls even more by winning back-to-back Super Bowls with the Buccaneers, a team that was as undistinguished as any, right? I mean, they've won a couple of championships, but outside of that, I mean, they're more known for that team they put out with the great John McKay.
Yeah.
right? Where he said in answer to a question, the greatest answer ever to a sports question, what did you think about your team's execution today?
Yeah.
And when they were 0-16, he said, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No,
All
I
right,
agree.
so they would do for me, and anybody but Green Bay, I think, would do for me out of the NFC.
Yeah. Okay, Lubie, what about you?
I'm actually not the opposite, but half the opposite of default. What I thought would be the Super Bowl last year is what I want to see and what I think will happen. I think people have moved on from the Chiefs and the Packers, and I think they're wrong. I think the Chiefs' defense is actually better than it was last year, and the offense is vastly superior, and Patrick Mahomes is just as good. So I think the Chiefs, as like an underdog, is like a weird place for them to be, and I think it's great. I think they're going to torch the AFC, and I think the Packers would have been there last year. If you watch that game, they got screwed by multiple calls. People like forget that. Like the Bucs in 3 straight games got ridiculous calls that got them into a Super Bowl. I don't think that's happening again. And it being in Green Bay, number 1 seed, I think, again, they're finally going to get off the schneid. I think I want to see Packers Chiefs, and I think you're going to see Packers Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. I want to be with Defo here for a moment. You know what? I love Patrick Mahomes and I love Andy Reid. I just love the combo. I love the fandom. I think everything they stand for is great for the NFL. My one rub is that I really like the Bills too. I really like Josh Allen. I think it would be just so amazing for Buffalo to get back to the Super Bowl. But you also can think to yourself, if they get back, could you imagine losing yet another Super Bowl? I mean, that would be, unprecedented. So I'm going to go with Kansas City, and I'm not the biggest Brady fan at all, but to in the words of Defo, to give it to Belichick, I think that would be remarkable. I think it would be absolutely remarkable.
We're on the same page on something, Tony?
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing, too.
I think it's going to be pretty hard, though. Listen, my one analysis here is I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat Green Bay, only because everything has got to run through there. And this time of year, you better be a special group of guys to play in that environment, both from the weather and from the fans and that whole setup there. So I think for anybody from the NFC to get in this game other than Green Bay, it's going to be a Herculean task. I really do.
Well, also playing very well. I mean, the most consistently solid team all throughout the season. What'd they end up like 13-4, I think. And they tanked their last game there and lost that. But no, and Aaron Rodgers played great. I mean, it's very likely he wins the MVP. They'll probably go to Brady with that one, because Brady will get every award for the rest of his life, as he should, going out there and performing like he does at 44 years old.
What a great coaching matchup, right? That would be Andy Reid and Bruce Arians. I mean, what a great
Is Arians matchup. Wearing some kind of bomb on the front?
No,
have you seen that thing? He's got
you know what it
the
is?
sound package or whatever that is, and he wears it on his chest.
Well, I don't know what that is.
How does he get into the stadium with that?
But he has, he ruptured his Achilles heel.
Oh, geez.
So he walks.
Oh, yeah. So that's like some kind of electronic monitor?
I have no idea what it is, but all I know is that he walks around with a big pack of ice on the Achilles, and he doesn't walk very well. But I tell you what.
You're talking about Reid or Arians?
Arians.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, he's got like, I guess it's, part of the, headset sound package or whatever that normally like guys wear on the side. But he's got this thing strapped to the front of him, and he would not be able to board an airplane with this thing.
Right.
And listen, it looks very, very strange.
I wanted to bring up something else. I don't recall. I know if I really sat and thought about it, I can't think of a more frustrating night of quarterbacking for anybody in the NFL than what Kyler Murray went through on Monday night. That may have been the worst I have ever seen. I'm not saying it was, but that may be the worst. But when you think about all these young quarterbacks in the playoffs, and I mean, from Josh Allen to Jake Burrow to Kyler Murray, I mean, we go on and on and on. I think it's great for the league. I think it's great to see them play like that. And
Buffalo looked invincible.
They could have beaten anybody.
People thought that the Patriots were in there with more than a fighting chance, and there was reason to believe that. They beat them. And it wasn't quite similar conditions because you didn't have the 90-mile-per-hour wind.
Right.
But if you remember that ball game, I mean, Buffalo screwed up many, many times when the Patriots beat them by throwing the ball only 3 times.
Yeah.
And we declared Belichick the genius of all geniuses after that ball game, which I think was fair because how he won that game it seemed virtually impossible. But Josh Allen was actually throwing the ball and fairly accurately in that game, even though Lubie thinks he's wildly inaccurate. Like, he's like, give you an old reference. I don't know if you remember the pitcher Ryan Duran for the Yankees.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Who you didn't know if he was going to throw the ball in the dirt or over the backstop. I mean,
I tell you what, if you know what putting your foot in the bucket means, Lubie, when you're a right-handed hitter and they face Ryan Duran, that left foot was in the dugout after
he had glasses, remember, like Coke bottles. I mean, like binoculars on his face.
He was the first guy to like make aviator glasses popular.
They were thick as a brick. They really were. I mean, like something that you would see some 90-year-old woman trying on.
He was amazing.
At an optometrist office, yeah.
These are fine.
And he would uncork like he might have been one of the original guys that brought it at 100. I mean, this was before jugs guns or
really you were talking about Bob Murphy with
Minervini, yeah, that was great.
Yeah. How about I don't know if you can YouTube it or not, but how much fun was it growing up, Defo, to listen to Dizzy Dean do baseball games?
Yeah, I mean, the guy
you
was,
remember? I mean,
like a crazy country hillbilly, man. That would say anything.
He would break into the, Cannonball Express singing, and he would it was his colloquialisms, his references were remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, it wasn't so technical. I was going to say just real quickly here, and I know we want to get into some information that people will need about Catholic Health Services, but so I had a chance. I don't know if this is, you've probably been there. I've never been to Lambeau Field, so it was like a bucket list thing. I'm hanging out at a bar. You'll find that surprising. A couple of nights ago, or like last week, and we run into a friend of ours, Mark, who we know is a huge Green Bay backer and had a big company in Wisconsin. So he has season tickets to the Packers games. And Jersey Kyle and I jokingly say to him, hey, if the Packers go to the championship game, we want to go. And so he calls and gets the tickets, right? But it coincides with the weekend, which is next weekend, that will be in Las Vegas. So that's going to scratch that off the bucket list. I mean, I can't cancel the trip to Vegas, right? I have a chance to see your buddy Hank out there.
Yeah, oh, man.
Would you go? Have you been to Lambeau though?
Yes.
Imagine how cold it was going to be for that game. I mean, that would have been very prohibitive to be
Lambeau.
able to sit out there.
Lambeau is a special place. It's like there are just special places that you hear the ghosts, right? You feel the energy. You
every time I pay my bookie, I hear the ghosts.
Yeah.
Tony.
No, but you really do. I mean, if you're a real true sports fan, when you walk the monuments at Yankee Stadium, when you go to Lambeau Field, before they tore it down, when you went to the Boston Garden, when you went, to Madison Square Garden and the Rangers and Knicks played, when you go to a place like South Bend, places like that have just, the legendary stories.
Steeped in tradition, yes.
Yeah. Those places are just absolutely incredibly special. And they give you some goose leather when you walk in, just looking around and thinking about the people who have been in there and the people who have.
I would have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Walked the sidelines or ran the parquet or, you know what I mean? I remember the first time I went to the Boston Garden for a hockey game. And I was behind a pole, and I was the happiest guy you would. I didn't care.
Obstructed view was fine. Yeah,
I was just happy to be in the Boston Garden. I was happy to be at the original Yankee Stadium watching Roger Maris hit 2 home runs in a doubleheader. I was just happy to be in those environments because they're legendary, special. They encompass all of those things you like about being involved in the game.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the sporting world. All right, there's a lot going on in the health community as well.
Boy,
not all of it good, and you can feel very estranged from even your closest friends, relatives, and or family members when they're hospitalized or in some kind of rehabilitation facility, and you're clueless and kept in the dark by the people. And this is something that we can't stress enough. Tony, you started talking about it. I didn't realize how meaningful it was going to be with Catholic Health Services and the level of communication that they have with the people that are involved in the care of a patient and concern about that patient and the actual care that they're getting. I mean, they really connect you with what you need to know, Catholic Health Services.
I think that's what makes them so special is that they connect you. I don't think I could have put it any better because, listen, it's like anything else. You're going to go to a rehab facility and you're going to get the latest machines. You're going to get the therapist. You're going to get all of the accoutrements that go with getting you better. But are you going to get that personalized, caring, passionate care that you only get at Catholic Health Services? And it's not only the patient, because when the patient's going through rehab, this involves and it impacts the entire family. Just the mere fact that they're going back and forth from the facility. But even when that patient gets home, how does it impact the family? And this is one of the ways that Catholic Health Services excels, because they include the family the entire way. In your case, Defo, your mom was in hospice. They were telling you along the way what to expect, when to expect it, when you need to be there, when it's okay to go home and get rest. I think those moments from people like that, with the expertise that they have and the passion they have and the understanding of the caring it takes and the caring that the family has, that's what makes them special. And that's what makes them separate from any other place you could possibly go to. So I strongly urge you, especially now with Omicron and all of these different things that are going on around us, you need to get the real truth. You need to get the information. You need to get it from a caring group of people. Call Catholic Health Services. Go on their website. Get their information. They're about being proactive as well as being reactive.
I mean, they cured a crisis situation for my brother and me with my mom. They really did. I mean, they took it from crisis levels of stress and anxiety, and at a time where you least need that, and turned it 180 degrees around. Tony Segreto, I can't tell you how thankful I am for you turning me on to Catholic Health Services, and wow. They do a great job. That's
Amen.
all I can say. Yeah.
Amen.
Tony Segreto. Okay, we're going to wrap. I can't believe how quickly, honestly, you always say this, Tony, and I don't know if the people always find it that way. Like the host says, hey, that went by fast, and people are thinking, my God, I can't wait for the next show. But no, this one really, this flew by for me.
This was
I
fun.
hope you had a good time. Yeah,
I did. I had a great.
The Dolphins are still looking for a head coach. We haven't even touched on it.
Yeah.
And Defo talked about you being Mr. Shula. What are your thoughts on some of the names being thrown out there? Daboll and Doug Peterson, and now Dan Quinn and Vance Joseph, who just got tore up in the playoffs. I want to
hear, Tony. What are you hearing?
This is my, I haven't heard anything because I haven't really asked.
Steve hasn't called you for your advice?
No, this is those names you mentioned. Those names you mentioned. Let's play charades. Let's get a hat out and let's tear up pieces of paper with the names on them, and then you pull one out. I mean, do any one of those names tickle your toes? Do they?
I'm not sure, what to make of a lot of them.
Yeah. Do they? I mean, what are they? They're saying that Brian Flores is going to get another head coaching job.
Probably. Maybe the Giants. The Giants were speculating in New York.
I have to tell you what, I told you this when he was fired. It shocked me because the football people within the organization, true football people within the organization, had told me over and over and over again, I can't tell you how many times, how happy they were with Brian Flores, that they finally felt that they had a strong football coach.
Who was it? Danny Boy was telling you this? Marino?
A guy with discipline, a guy who disciplined, who knew the game, who ran a tight ship, and I think, all the other ones you mentioned, that's fine. It's sort of like, all right, let me know who the next guy is. He'll last 3 years, and then we'll get another guy. You know,
it's funny. Kellen Moore was on a magic carpet ride to one of these head coaching spots until they ran that quarterback draw with no time left in the ball game.
Yeah, exactly.
And ended up, Jerry Jones was flat on his face. Did you see what they did with Jerry Jones? They attached electrodes to his head. While he was, they're having to find new ways to revive him after he is just absolutely, pale with anguish.
Right, but can I tell you
what's happened?
Can I add to this real quick before we go? Because I know we're encroaching on time. But as dysfunctional as the Dolphins seem to be right now, the University of Miami is so functional. There's so much excitement around that program, around what Cristobal is doing, the assistants he's bringing in, the strength coach he brought in, the recruiting that they're doing. There is reason to be excited. There is reason to feel like, wait a minute. For Hurricane fans, for someone like myself who went to Miami, listen, I did the game. I'm fully transparent. I'm a fan. I went to school there. This is my college team. I am excited, and it takes a lot for me now to get this excited because you're sort of, again, keeping that one eye open and one eye closed. And I have to tell you, I think it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, we got to give it time. We got to give
Come
it
on,
time to
Tony.
germinate.
You just made it
It's
sound
not-
like it was happening tomorrow. That's what we love about you. And our man, Jimmy L, man, Jim Larineghi, joined us on the show last
I
week.
love Jim Larineghi. How
Wow,
about what they
great,
did
great.
to North Carolina the other
Destroyed
night?
North Carolina, and
That's
Lubie's FSU
amazing.
team knocks off in succession Miami, which was on a 9-game winning streak and just
Yep.
had beaten Duke.
Duke.
They beat Syracuse at Syracuse.
Yep,
You
yep.
know, not a major accomplishment, but
Yep,
not bad.
yep, yep.
And then came out and beat Duke last
Yep,
night.
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah. I think Larineghi and Leonard Hamilton.
Great job.
Listen, what our teams, FSU and Miami, couldn't do in football, they're doing in basketball, and good for them. It's good, creating some excitement, and it's fun to watch, and we need it. We need that shot in the arm.
Leonard
And
always surprises you, like just when you thought it was over, like Lubie was ready to condemn him all over again and say that he sucks as a game day
he's
coach.
like the Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
He rises, man. He comes out of the ashes all the time.
Yeah, I forget what it was. Some atrocity. What is it? A timeout or something he called in that playoff game in the NCAA's.
Yeah. He didn't call a timeout, and they had a timeout with time left.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. And they were grilling him after the game, and I think it was Dana Jacobson. Is that her name?
Yes.
She's on CBS, and she was very fair in the way she presented the question, Tony. And Leonard Hamilton was like, "What are you talking about? I mean, he went like he was on what was that show?
Different Strokes. What you talking about?
Different Strokes. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Hey, that's not meant to be any kind of racial thing either. That's just a reference.
Hey, listen,
comedy
as we go, I hope you sell your T-shirts. For those of you, what is that
$20?
phone number?
What do you think,
Can you
Tony?
put
Is it
that-
worth 20 to make a statement?
Yeah, I guess.
This is like a modern day peace symbol. Like if I was walking around the quad there, trying to pick up chicks with a little puppy on a rope, and at Syracuse University, I would have this shirt, and it would be like a peace symbol back then. Now it's fully vaccinated.
Back then it would work. So what is the number? Let's throw that number back up, Lubie. It's
954
417.
417. I gave out the wrong number before.
Yes,
That's
you did.
probably why we didn't sell any shirts.
And then Jack Namer's gonna give us.
He's gonna want a piece. That's the first thing he texts me. I want a piece.
He's gonna give us old school T-shirts. We'll get rid of those too, and we'll give it to a charity of some sort.
Charity.
Yeah, your charity. Your
you know how badly I've been shooting at the track, Tony? All my friends won thousands, and I got stuck a nickel the last time I was out there. I mean, I don't usually go for those denominations of capital. I mean, if I lose, it's, maybe 2 sticks. But, I went all in, and I couldn't cash a ticket, and then everybody else got out. They won thousands on the last race. I had already left. Depressed in my car, vowing never to go to the racetrack again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You know how many times I've sworn it off?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
All right, Tony, we love you, man. It was a lot of fun,
guys. Yeah, it was
I'm
a
glad
great
we
hour.
Never got to anything significant, but it was a lot of fun. Tony Segreto. There's only so much of this you can talk, right? We're going to see you guys tomorrow with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a gas. Gurgles is involved, and I think Polyman is also going to be involved in some sense. Some fashion here. Okay. Not sure you can turn on the computer yet. Come on, Paulie, man. It's 2022. Even I am operating my own
whole thing.
Studio here. Yeah.
You do a whole thing now. Come on, Paulie, man.
Major production. All right. Thanks for being with us here on Ion Channel. It's always a pleasure representing Ion Channel and the fine work that they do in all areas of production and programming. They do a great job. IonChannel.com. You can check out all the other things that they do. And then, of course, you can Google the Defo Show and see all of the things that we have done, including yesterday's debacle when Lubie was nearly on jury duty.
And feel free to check out what we're doing on Believe. We do exclusive content only on the Believe Podcast Network, Believe.com.
You got some whack job coming on today, right? What is that? Some guy that played with who?
Patty Smith band? I don't know. It's like your wheelhouse.
What was Patty Smith around, man? What was that, 50s, 60s?
I know.
You can book him, Lubie. Book him, Lubie. Yeah. The Cecil B. DeLubitz producing that podcast. And Mayo and I will be out there if you're in town in Fort Lauderdale, Lauderdale by the Sea, Even Keel Fish Shack today. Lauderdale by the Sea, commercial on A1A from 12 to 1. Hopefully we'll get there a little bit early and see if the stuff works. From 12 to 1 on 1470 and the Odyssey, Audacy, I believe it is, Odyssey radio app, which is their version. What company is that? Beasley? What is it? That's the Odyssey radio app.
Beasley. They bought out Beasley.
Okay.
It's its own conglomerate.
All right. Anyway, you can catch the show, man. Mayo's been eating like he's going to the chair, so he'll have a lot to say about food. And I don't know if he's going to get into any sports stuff today, but if you ask him about a winning ticket, man, he'll elaborate for a long period of time. We'll be out there, though, chowing down, man. Those grilled oysters are always a hit with me.
Amazing, even kill.
Although I've been battling inadvertent bouts of the gout, so I may have to lay off that. I've been challenging the gods of gout, and they win every time. Severe punishment. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Speaking of severe punishment, it'll be a pleasure to be with you tomorrow as we're bringing the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge right here on Ion Channel as we leave you now that.
The time.
It is 8:04, 9:04. Sorry about that.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.